The bag split open right in the middle of the supermarket parking lot. Tins rolled. Apples bounced. A bottle of juice spun across the cold concrete like it had somewhere important to be. Angel dropped to her knees without thinking, grabbing everything she could with both hands, her fingers cold from the night air. She had come out at almost 11 o'clock just to pick up a few things her body had been begging for after 12 hours on her feet at work. And now this. No, 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 she whispered under her breath, reaching for a tin that had rolled too far. I got it. She looked up. A man was crouching in front of her, already picking up 2 tins in one hand and an apple in the other. He was tall. She could tell even from how he folded himself down to the ground. His skin was dark and smooth, and he had the kind of quiet face that didn't seem like it was trying to impress anyone. He just looked calm. He placed the items in a neat pile near her knee and reached for the bottle of juice before it could roll into the road. Thank you, Angel said, blinking. Your bag is gone, he said simply, looking at the torn plastic hanging from her wrist. I can see that. She almost laughed. Almost. He looked around, then at the pile of groceries, then at her. You walked here? Yes. That's a lot to carry alone. She opened her mouth to say she would manage, because that was what she always said. She always managed. But then she looked at the pile. Tins, fruit, 2 packs of noodles, a bottle of juice, and a bag of rice that was already threatening to slide off the top. She had nobody to call. Her sister Joos was at home, probably lying across the sofa watching something on her phone without a single worry in the world. Her parents would ask why she was out so late before they even asked if she was okay. I'll be fine, she said anyway. The man looked at her the way people look at someone who is clearly not fine, but is too proud to say so. Then he picked up the rice. I'm Romeo, he said. Hey, if you are new here, welcome to the channel. Before we go any further, please hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so you never miss a story. Drop a comment and tell me, where are you watching from? I want to see your location in the comments. Angel stared at him. You don't have to do that. I know, Romeo said. He tucked the rice under his arm like it weighed nothing. Which way? She hesitated for exactly 3 seconds. Then she picked up the rest of the groceries and pointed down the road. They walked side by side under the yellow streetlights. The night was quiet except for the occasional car passing and the sound of their footsteps on the pavement. Angel kept waiting for him to say something strange, to make her regret accepting the help. But he just walked. Steady. No rush. You live far, he asked. About 10 minutes. You always come out this late. Only when I have to. She shifted the bag in her arms. I work long hours. This is sometimes the only time I get. Romeo nodded like that made complete sense. What do you do? I'm a nurse. She paused. And you? I work in logistics. Moving things from one place to another. He smiled briefly. Not as important as what you do. Angel didn't know what to say to that, so she said nothing. People didn't usually say things like that to her. Most people didn't think much about what she did at all. When they reached her gate, she stopped and turned to face him. Thank you, Romeo. Really. Don't mention it. He handed her the rice carefully, making sure she had a good grip before letting go. Then he looked at her, not in a strange way, just directly, like he was being honest. Can I have your number? Angel blinked. Why? Because I'd like to talk to you again. She thought about it. She thought about her mother's voice in her head telling her to be careful. She thought about how tired she was every single day, and how this man had not asked for anything except to carry her rice. She thought about how nobody had looked at her that directly in a very long time. She told him her number. He typed it in and called her immediately so she would have his. Then he said good night and walked back the way they had come, hands in his pockets, no drama. Angel stood at her gate for a moment before going inside. She didn't know it yet, but that was the beginning of everything. Inside the house, the television was loud. Joos was stretched across the big sofa in the sitting room, one leg hanging off the edge, her phone held above her face as she scrolled. She didn't look up when Angel came in. Where did you go? Joos asked, eyes still on her screen. Supermarket. Angel set the groceries on the kitchen table and started putting things away. Mom was looking for you. I told her I was going out. She didn't hear you, I think. Angel said nothing. She knew what that meant. It meant her mother had been told and had chosen not to listen. It had always been that way. When Joos spoke, their parents stopped everything to listen. When Angel spoke, her words seemed to fall just short of their ears, close enough to hear, but easy enough to ignore. She finished packing the groceries, drank a glass of water, and went to bed. She did not tell anyone about Romeo. Not yet. They texted for the first 3 days. Small things. He would send a message in the morning, something simple like "How was your night?" and she would answer in the gap between patients or during her lunch break. He never sent long paragraphs that felt like too much too soon. He never asked questions that felt like tests. He just talked to her. Normally. Easily. On the 4th day, he called. Angel was walking to her car after a long shift, still in her scrubs, her feet aching. When she saw his name on the screen, she almost didn't answer, not because she didn't want to but because she wasn't sure she had the energy to be interesting. She picked up anyway. "Hey," he said. "Hey. Tough day. Every day is tough. You want to talk about it, or you want quiet?" Angel stopped walking. Nobody had ever asked her that before. Most people assumed she wanted to talk. Or most people assumed she wanted quiet. Nobody had ever just asked. "Quiet," she said. "But stay on the line." So he did. He stayed on the line while she walked to her car. While she sat in the driver's seat and rested her head back. While she breathed. He didn't say anything unnecessary. He just existed on the other end of the phone like a steady light in a dark room. After about 5 minutes, she said, "Okay. I'm okay now." "Good," Romeo said. And then they talked for an hour. "You are still here. I see you. Go ahead and like this video if you are enjoying the story so far. It really helps the channel more than you know. Now let's keep going, because things are about to get interesting." Weeks passed. Then a month. Then 2. Angel's world had not changed on the outside. She still woke up before everyone in the house. She still cooked breakfast even on her days off. She still washed dishes that Joos left in the sink overnight and folded laundry that her mother piled near the door without asking. She still came home to a house that felt like it ran on her energy, but rarely noticed when she was tired. But on the inside, something was different. Romeo noticed everything. He noticed when she was quieter than usual. He noticed when her texts came slower. Not because she was busy, but because she was sad. He noticed when she laughed at something, and the laugh didn't quite reach the end of the sentence. He noticed all the small things that the people who lived with her somehow managed to miss. One evening she called him from outside her house, because she didn't want to go in yet. "I'm sitting on the front step," she said. "What happened?" "Nothing happened." "That's almost the problem." She pulled her jacket tighter. "I cooked for everyone. Joos didn't even say thank you. My mom told me the rice was a little too soft. My dad just ate and went back to watching TV." Romeo was quiet for a moment. "Angel," he said. "Don't say it." "Say what?" "Whatever wise thing you're about to say." He laughed softly. "I was just going to say that the rice was probably perfect." She smiled. She couldn't help it. "You deserve to be thanked," he said, more gently this time. "For the small things too. Not just the big ones." She looked up at the dark sky. She didn't say anything. But she heard him. 3 months in, Romeo asked if they could meet. Not at a supermarket parking lot this time. A proper place. Coffee, maybe, or a walk somewhere quiet. Something real. Angel said yes without overthinking it. They met on a Saturday afternoon at a small cafe not far from her workplace. She wore a mustard yellow top and had done her hair. 2 things she barely did anymore outside of work. When she walked in and saw him sitting at a corner table, already there, already waiting, something in her chest did a slow, quiet thing she didn't have a name for yet. He stood when he saw her. She almost laughed. "You don't have to stand." "I wanted to," he said. They sat across from each other, and the conversation moved the same way it always had on the phone. Easy, real, unhurried. He told her more about his family. He was the first son of 3 brothers. His parents had come from different backgrounds, but had built something steady together. He talked about his mother like she was the most important person he had ever known. Angel listened and thought about her own mother. About how love in her home had always felt like a gift that got handed to one child and not the other. "You're quiet," Romeo said. "I'm listening." "No, you went somewhere just now." He tilted his head. "Where did you go?" She looked at her cup. "I was thinking about my family. You don't talk about them much. There's not much good to say." She said it plainly, without bitterness, which somehow made it sound worse. "My parents love my sister. Really love her. The way you can just feel when you walk into a room. And me?" She stopped. "And you?" "I think they love me because they have to." She finally looked up. "Does that make sense?" Romeo looked at her steadily. "It makes sense. It doesn't make it okay." She nodded. She had known that. She had known it for years. But something about hearing it said back to her, calmly, and without drama, made it feel like she was allowed to agree. They stayed in that cafe for 3 hours. When they walked out into the afternoon sun, he reached for her hand. Not roughly, not with a big announcement. Just gently, like it was the most natural thing. She let him. Time moved differently after that. The secret of Romeo lived in Angel's chest like a warm coal, small, steady, private. She carried it to work, to the grocery store, to the kitchen where she cooked food nobody thanked her for. It kept her going. Joos noticed something had changed but couldn't place it. "You've been smiling at your phone," she said one evening, looking up from her own screen with narrowed eyes. "I smile at lots of things," Angel said. "Not usually." Angel said nothing and kept stirring the pot on the stove. Joos watched her for a moment longer, then went back to her phone. The idea that her older sister might have something, or someone, that made her happy hadn't fully formed in Joos's mind yet. Because Joos had never really thought that hard about what was happening inside Angel at all. That was the pattern of the house. Joos was seen. Angel was useful. For months in, Romeo said it clearly for the first time. They were walking through a park near her workplace, the kind of slow evening walk they had started doing on the days she got off early enough. The sky was orange and pink and long. "I want to be serious about you, Angel," he said, not looking at her but forward. Like he was saying it to the path ahead of them. "I'm not interested in something that just floats. I want something real." Angel felt her heart beat fast. Not from fear exactly. From something close to it. "You barely know my full life," she said. "I know enough to know I want to know more." "Romeo." She slowed her steps. "My family is not simple. Nobody's family is simple." "No, I mean," she breathed out. "They're the kind of people who will have opinions. Loud ones." He turned to look at her. "About me?" She held his gaze. She didn't need to say it. He understood. "Because I'm black," he said. "Yes." Romeo was quiet for a moment. Not upset. Or if he was, he didn't let it spill. "And what do you think?" "I think," Angel said slowly, "that you are the best person I have met in a very long time. And I am scared of what happens if I bring you into my family, and they break something." He reached out and took her hand. "I'm not fragile, Angel. I know." She looked down at their hands. "But I might be." He squeezed her fingers. "I'll be careful with you. I promise." She didn't say yes to letting him meet her family that day. But she also didn't say no. She just held his hand and kept walking as the sky went from orange to deep purple above the trees. "Hey, you are more than halfway through this story, and I just want to say, if you are watching from your bed, your sofa, your commute, wherever you are, drop your location in the comments. I love seeing where this story is reaching. And don't forget to like if you are still glued to the screen, because trust me, the next part is where it all breaks open." It took 2 more months before she finally said yes. Romeo had asked 3 more times. Not in a pushy way, he wasn't that kind of man. But he had been clear. He wanted to do things properly. He wanted to stand in front of her family and be known. Not because it was easy, but because she was worth doing hard things for. The last time he asked, they were sitting in his car outside her house. It was late. She had been trying to work up the courage to go inside for 20 minutes already. "What are you afraid of exactly?" he asked. Angel was quiet. Then she said, "That you'll see how they treat me and feel sorry for me. And I don't want your pity. I want your respect." Romeo turned in his seat to face her fully. "Angel, I already respect you more than almost anyone I know. Watching your family not see what I see won't change that. It will only make me more certain." She searched his face. Nothing but honesty. "Okay," she said. "You can come." He came on a Sunday. He wore a clean shirt and carried a bottle of wine and a small bag of fruit, because Angel had told him her mother liked fruit. He arrived on time. He knocked politely. He smiled when the door opened. Angel watched her mother's face go from ready to smile to something flat and hard in less than 1 second. Her father stood in the background, and the change in him was slower, but arrived at the same place. Joos was sitting on the sofa. She looked Romeo up and down with wide eyes. Not hostile, just openly surprised in the way people are when something doesn't match the picture they had in their head. "Good evening," Romeo said, bowing his head slightly. "My name is Romeo. Thank you for allowing me to visit your home." The silence lasted too long. Angel's mother finally stepped aside to let them in. She didn't smile. She didn't take the fruit. She set it on the table without looking at it, like it had arrived by accident. They sat in the sitting room. Romeo tried. He talked, politely and steadily. He asked about the family, about the area, about things that had nothing to do with him and Angel, just to show respect, just to show he saw them. Angel's father gave short answers. Her mother kept looking at Angel with an expression that had no warmth in it at all. After 45 minutes, Romeo excused himself to use the bathroom. The moment the door closed, Angel's mother turned to her. "What is this?" she said. Low, sharp, in Korean, which always meant it was serious. "Yama. Don't yama me. Who is that man?" "He's someone I've been seeing. He's good. He's kind. If you just..." "He is not what we expected for you," her father said. Not angry, almost worse than angry. Just certain, like it was already decided. "What did you expect?" Angel asked. Her voice stayed calm. She had learned a long time ago to keep her voice calm in this house. "Not this," her mother said. And the way she said this, like it was a category, like Romeo was a this and not a person, something tight and old and deeply buried moved in Angel's chest. When Romeo came back into the room, the air had changed. He felt it immediately. He looked at Angel, and she looked back at him with eyes that were trying to say "I'm sorry, and I told you" at the same time. Her mother stood. "I think it is better if you leave now." Romeo looked at her steadily. "I understand." He nodded once, with dignity. "Thank you for your time." He picked up his jacket, looked at Angel, one long look that held 1,000 things, and walked to the door. Angel followed him out. "Romeo," she started. "I'm okay," he said quietly. I know." He looked at her. He didn't look broken. He looked like a man who had prepared himself, and was now choosing how to carry what happened. "I'm okay. Are you okay?" That was when her eyes filled. Because she hadn't expected him to ask about her first, she cried in his car. Not loud crying. Angel didn't cry loudly. She had never been allowed to, but the quiet, controlled kind that somehow hurts more to watch because you can see exactly how long someone has been practicing holding it in. She pressed the back of her hand to her mouth and let the tears fall, and Romeo sat beside her without saying a single word, just close enough that she knew she wasn't alone. When she was done, she wiped her face and stared straight ahead. "I knew they would do that," she said. "I know. I still let you come." She shook her head slowly. "I thought maybe this time. Maybe if they saw you properly." "They weren't ready to see me properly." Romeo's voice was even. "That's about them. Not you. And not me. It doesn't feel that way. I know it doesn't." He turned to look at her. "But I need you to hear me when I say this. What they did in there had nothing to do with who I am or who you are. It had to do with a story they already decided on before I even knocked." Angel said nothing. She had heard versions of that truth many times inside her own head. But hearing it from him made it land differently. She went back inside the house 30 minutes later. Her parents were waiting. Her mother started the moment the door closed. "How long?" she asked. "How long has this been happening behind our backs?" "I wasn't hiding anything," Angel said. "I just knew you wouldn't listen. We would have listened if you had given us something reasonable to listen to." "Reasonable?" Angel repeated the word carefully. "What does that mean?" Her father shifted in his chair. "You know what it means, Angel. Say it clearly, Appa. Please." He didn't. He never said things clearly. He let her mother carry the sharpest words while he sat in the background and nodded. Her mother crossed her arms. "We have given you everything. A home, food, a family. And this is how you choose to behave? Like our opinion means nothing." "Your opinion has always meant more than my feelings in this house," Angel said. Her voice was still calm. She was shaking inside, but her voice was still calm. "You have never once asked me what I feel. Not once. You are being dramatic. I'm being honest." She looked at her mother, then her father. "Why did you chase him away? Tell me one real reason. Not a reason about family, or tradition, or expectation. One real reason why a kind, respectful, good man is not enough." Silence. Her mother's jaw was tight. "You know our ways." "He bowed to you," Angel said. "He brought you fruit because I told him you liked it. He sat in your house and spoke to you with more patience than either of you showed him. And you still..." She stopped. Her voice had cracked just slightly, and she wouldn't let it go further. "And you still looked at him like he was nothing." Her father stood up. "That is enough." "You're right," Angel said. "It is enough." And she walked to her room. Behind her, she heard Joos say something in a low voice to their parents. Angel didn't stop to hear what it was. She sat on her bed in the dark for a long time. She wasn't angry exactly. She had lived in this house long enough to know that anger was expensive. It cost you sleep and peace, and you always paid alone. What she felt was something heavier and older than anger. something that had been sitting at the bottom of her chest for years, and tonight had risen close enough to the surface that she could finally see its shape clearly. She was tired of being the daughter who was loved less. She was tired of being the one who cooked and cleaned and worked and tried and tried and tried, and still came last. She didn't hear from Romeo the next day. She understood. He was giving her space, the way he always seemed to know when to give her space. On the second day, she texted him first. "I'm sorry about Sunday." He replied within a minute. "Don't apologize for other people's choices. How are you holding up?" She stared at the message for a while. "Honestly, I've been thinking a lot. About my family. About why they are the way they are. About whether I have done something wrong all my life to make them love me less." He took a moment before replying. "Angel, I need to ask you something. Have you ever actually sat them down and asked them directly? Not in the middle of a fight. Just ask them why?" She read it twice. "No," she wrote back. "I've always been too afraid of the answer." "Maybe," he wrote, "the answer, whatever it is better than the question you've been living with for years." She put the phone down and looked at the ceiling. She thought about it for 3 days. She played the conversation in her head in every possible version. She thought about what her mother might say, what her father might do, how Joos would sit there watching like it was a show that had nothing to do with her. On the 4th day, she walked into the sitting room where her whole family was gathered after dinner, a rare thing, and she sat down in the chair across from them. Her hands were folded in her lap. Her voice, when she finally opened her mouth, was quieter than she expected. "I want to ask you something," she said, "and I need you to answer me honestly." Her mother looked up. Her father lowered the remote. Joos went still. "I'm not asking to fight," Angel continued. "I'm not asking to cause trouble. I'm asking because I have been carrying this question for a very long time, and I need to understand." She swallowed. "What did I do wrong? When did I stop being enough for you? Because for as long as I can remember, I have felt like the child you love because you have to. Not because you want to. And I need to know why." The room was very quiet. Her mother's expression shifted, not to softness exactly, but to something uncertain, like a wall that had been hit in the right place and didn't quite know yet whether to hold or fall. Her father looked at the floor, and Angel waited, the way she had always waited, patiently, hands folded, heart wide open, for the people who were supposed to love her most in the world to finally look at her and see her. And that is where we leave session 1. Angel has finally asked the question she has been carrying her whole life. Romeo is still standing, steady, patient, and real. But the answer her family gives her? That is what session 2 is all about. And trust me, you are not ready for what comes next. Session 2 is already on the way. Subscribe to this channel right now so you are notified the moment it drops. And before you go, like this video and tell me in the comments, do you think her parents will answer her honestly? What do you think they will say? I want to read every single comment. Session 2 is coming. Stay close.